Time now to turn our attention to the international newspapers. Diptyque Long is with us on set for that. Lots of reactions, Diptyque, to Democratic presidential hopeful Michael Bloomberg and his performance in that Las Vegas debate.
That's right, and pretty much all of it is pretty bad. In a word, he bombed. That's what Politico says in its coverage, which says the vulnerabilities of his candidacy built on TV ads was exposed on live TV. He pouted, he rolled his eyes, he was, quote, rusty, testy, out of touch, and fielded attacks from every candidate on various issues, from his past embracing of the Republicans to his defense of capitalism and his controversial stop-and-frisk policy. On the issue of why he's not released his tax returns yet, his lack of transparency allowed his rivals to liken him to none other than Donald Trump. The New York Times says with billions of targets on his back, Bloomberg joined the debate fray, but he offered meek rebuttals, which prompted his rivals to, quote, slash and bicker with an eagerness the race has not seen before, while the Washington Post called it an urgent 2-hour free-for-all that sizzled with animosity. It does note, though, that Elizabeth Warren came to the debate with a particular fire, attacking her rivals on all topics in a performance that was a stark improvement on her last one.
Lots of attention for those Democratic debates. However, in India, the headlines are being made by Donald Trump.
That's right. Donald Trump will be making his inaugural visit to India next Monday. Both Donald Trump and Prime Minister Narendra Modi downplaying the possibility of a big trade deal. The two sides were reportedly unable to agree on contentious issues like market access, medical access, and data localization. It's a rare standalone visit for Donald Trump that he's actually making with Melania Trump. And for many papers, it's a sign of the U.S.'s support for India at a time when it faces many challenges domestically. His two-day visit will take him to Ahmedabad, the capital of the state of Gujarat, where Narendra Modi was head of that state for a long time. And then from there, he'll be heading to Agra to visit the Taj Mahal and then holding bilateral talks with Modi in Delhi.
But even before the visit to Diptyque, there has been some controversy about it.
That's right, and actually not from the Donald Trump camp, but rather from the Indian side. Authorities in Gujarat have built a wall in the state's main city for, well, they say for cleanliness and security reasons ahead of Donald Trump's visit. But critics say it aims to hide the city's numerous shanty towns away from the eyes of the U.S. president during his visit. For one writer at the Indian paper Deccan Herald, the spread of, quote, abysmal poverty and inequity in India cannot be hidden by building walls. The writer here pointing the finger in particular at Modi's pro-business model during his time as head of the state in Gujarat, which has widened the gap between rich and poor.
Okay, we did see similar during the Beijing Olympics. We saw similar walls go up around certain neighbourhoods there and actually across in China. 3 journalists, in fact, from the Wall Street Journal have been deported over an opinion article about China and that new coronavirus.
That article appeared earlier this month, and in it, the Wall Street Journal writer called China the, quote, real sick man of Asia, comments deemed racist by the Chinese press, who threw out the reporters after the Wall Street Journal refused to apologize. In turn, the U.S. has severely restricted the working rights of 5 Chinese state-run news agencies in the U.S. A war of editorials really breaking out today. This one from the Global Times, which calls the U.S. aggressive and offensive, warning them not to provoke the Chinese media, because ultimately it'll be the U.S. press in China who will be the most impacted. While the Wall Street Journal does admit, the issue here was the use of that term sick man, which for China has historically racist connotations dating back to its time, its occupation by Japan and its exploitation by the West. And the Wall Street Journal does concede that point, but it defends the article, saying China knows how to exploit America's identity politics to charge racism in service of its censorship.
Okay, well, finally, Diptyque, from you, the Irish rugby team got a little moral booster ahead of a high-stakes match against England this weekend.
That's right. They'll be facing England will be facing Ireland at its home stadium in Twickenham this Sunday. Andy Farrell's Irish side got a special visit from someone you're very familiar with, Paul O'Connell, Eve, the former Irish captain, and U2's lead singer Bono, a self-professed rugby fan, apparently, according to this article. Anyway, gathering by the pictures, it looks like he was not just serving Irish patriotism or advice, but
I don't know what that food is, Tika.
I'm going to call it good old Irish grub, but I'm
really,
not sure.
I don't recognise it.
And Johnny Sexton doesn't look very impressed.
Convinced either, no.
He also apparently belted out a tune, Eve, but the song that he sang is a secret. I'm thinking maybe Beautiful Day or Running to a Standstill, or Sometimes You Can't Make It on Your Own.
Well, I say they're not down or they're on their luck or out of touch, but it will be a beautiful day. Tika Laurent, thanks a lot for that look at the papers. Time for us to take a quick break now, but still to come, our Focus report looks at the rise of teenage prostitution here in France. Police say that up to 10,000 minors are currently being exploited, often by former drug traffickers. That and more after this quick break.